everyone, Egman here with another video, and today we're going to look at the Sky Striker archetype in Master Duel. It is my third archetype overview, and if you haven't done these before, we're going to look at the staple cards for the deck, we're going to look at the example deck list I've been grinding with, and then as well as an example match at the end against the CPU. So if you have any questions about this deck or anything, please let me know in the comments. And also, if you guys like these videos, please hit the like and subscribe. I know it's cliche to say that, but I'm just getting into Master Duel content, and it seems like my videos are doing actually kind of okay for what they are. So if you want more of this, let me know, and let me know what archetype you want me to go over afterwards. And remember just that my budget is limited on this guy, but looking at this Sky Striker, this is probably one of the most budget-friendly kind of like archetypes in the game. And just because looking at this, we only really have 3 ultra rares that are specific to this archetype. We have 4, but it's Rhoda, which we get for free. So this is really nice. So it doesn't need any like archetype specific staples that don't exist. It does take a couple super rares, just 6 with and these ones are pretty archetype specific, but besides that, I think that's really affordable for what it is. And I believe these are all in a secret pack as well. Yeah, so you can pretty much just buy a couple packs of a secret, the secret pack it's involved with, and pretty much be good to go on at least the main deck staples for this, which is really nice for an archetype like this. And additionally, like kind of most archetypes that I would say are on the cheaper end kind of lean to more like an OTK kind of combo strategy. And this is more of like a mid-range kind of control grindy deck, which I also think that a lot of people who are coming back to Yu-Gi-Oh! Trying Master Duel for the first time, they played when Yu-Gi-Oh! Was more of a grindy instead of a kind of an OTK kind of deck and kind of archetype and meta and stuff. So I think this is a really good deck list for people who are trying this game out for the first time after not playing it for the first couple years. The main idea for this is it has just 2 main deck monsters, and really one is the good one. We do have this Ray here, and a quick effect: you contribute this card, special summon 1 Sky Striker Ace monster from your extra deck to your extra monster zone. Well, this card is in your graveyard. The face-up Sky Striker Ace Link monster you control is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect. You can special summon this card. You can only use this effect once per turn. So really what you do is this just goes into any of your links. These are all link ones. We have Kagari, we have Shizuku, we have Hayate, we have Kaina, and then also Zeke at the end. And pretty much what these do is you kind of just go into these links, you kind of swap out with them, you kind of get their effects to do their thing. And the backbone of this archetype is the spells, and the spells pretty much have 1 good effect and then a kind of additional effect if you have 3 or more spells in the graveyard. So that's kind of how the deck functions. You want to put a bunch of spells in the graveyard, get all your effects off, and kind of go from there. So probably one of the best cards in this too is multi-roll, being able to at the end of your turn, as long as this was on the in the field when you were activating your Sky Striker spells, you are able to set Sky Striker spells from your graveyard equal to the amount of Sky Striker spells this saw on the turn. This is also for both players' turn, which is important because there are some quick play spells in the archetype as well, and you can just set those cards, and then when they're removed from the field, they get removed from play. So it just means that late game you might not have as many spells for 3. You have to kind of manage your resources there, but I think it's a really cool engine, and it gets a lot of like this can just go like +4 by itself, which is crazy. And then pretty much all of your link monsters just kind of go through and use their effects to kind of gain more advantage. So Hayate is probably one of my favorites, honestly. I think this one's a little underrated. So this can attack directly, and then after damage calculation, either if it attacked directly or not, you can, if this card battle, you can send 1 Sky Striker card from your deck to your graveyard, which means you can just put free spells in there. And then there's the limited one. It's limited for a reason, a Kagari. If this card is special summoned, you can target 1 spell striker spell in your graveyard, add it to your hand. Also, this gains a blanket 100 attack for each spell in your graveyard. And so pretty much what you can do is you can swing with Hayate to do 15k damage, put something in your graveyard, and then after that, go into Kagari to get that card to your hand. So being able to just search a spell is pretty good and rare for most archetypes like this, or like in the way that this does it. So that's kind of good. And probably the best card for this is Engage. And you can probably tell like all the cards I'm looking at are limited to 2 or 1. But if you control no monsters in your main monster zone, and this is kind of an important text for the archetype as well, these cards normally you want in your extra monster zone. So being able to do that means that you can get all these spell effects off, and they kind of depend on you having no cards in there. So you can add one Sky Striker card from your deck to your hand, and then if you have 3 or more spells in your graveyard, you get to draw a card. This also doesn't have a hard once per turn. This doesn't have a once per turn at all. So this can pretty much be a Pot of Greed, and then you can recycle it and then play it again, which is pretty good. And like, it just helps you with all your combos and gets a lot of extensions. So pretty much what this deck does, it gets a lot of nice +1s for doing stuff you're already doing. Nothing is, you know, broken, but really you can go, if you go card for your opponent, you end up having more cards than your opponent by like turn 2 or 3, because you get so much recycle and they hopefully do not get as much. And then some other cards to consider. This is a great one just to kind of end your turn on. At the end of your turn, the turn that this is special summon, you get to add a Sky Striker spell from your deck to your hand, so that's kind of nice. And then the kind of spells I really want to focus. So field spells, okay. You pop one of your own cards, and then you're able to look top 3 for a Sky Striker card, so that's fine. Sometimes you also just want the pop to get spells into your graveyard, so you get their effects. Also, when this card is popped, you get to special summon a Sky Striker from your deck as well. So you can get your Ray or your Rose. Rose is just okay. Being able to use this effect and go into your links, especially on your opponent's turn, which is what makes this card really great, means it's viable, including Kayana. This, when it's special summon, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls. It can't attack until the end of your opponent's turn. So something you can do is that if you have like your Kagari out and they swing into it, they pop it, you play your Ray for free because of its own effect, and then you can quick effect go into your Hayate, and they can't swing for the turn. Or if that was their one swing for the turn, you can go into your Suzuku, and then that will get a card to your hand at the end of the turn too. So a lot of kind of like flexible things you want there. Also kind of neat is this is a quick effect to tribute itself for its effect, and for both the multi-roll and the field spell, you don't actually have to pop something, you just have to target something to send it to the graveyard. So you can say, all right, I'll do the field spell, I'll target my Ray, and then I can chainlink 2, use my Ray, put it to the graveyard to activate its effect. So you'll still special summon your Link monster, and then you can use this to look top 3 and kind of give the advantage from there. So kind of nice for what it is and a whole bunch of stuff. Lastly, Widow Anchor, fantastic. Not only can it, you know, negate skills on cards on the field, but it can also steal the card from them, which has a lot of nice utilities. Something you have to manage a lot too is that you can't have monsters in your main zone for most of your card effects. So if you do end up stealing it, that means you're locked out of your own cards for the turn. So you got to be careful about that. Similar thing with the Shark Cannon. So this is pretty much a DD Crow on a quick play, but you can also special summon the card to your field, which is nice, and being able to, but it can't attack for the turn, but you can kind of link it away, which is nice as well. But also, and then it goes back to the graveyard. So if you really need something removed from play, then you do. And I think those are the big cards. We have Afterburner, and also what is it, Jamming Waves. Pretty much both these destroy a monster, and this one destroys a monster, and if they have 3 or more spells, then you destroy a spell or trap. This has to be face up. Similarly, this has to target a set spell and trap on the field, destroy it. Then if you have 3 or more spells in your grave, you can destroy it, 1 monster in the field too. So kind of like the inverse is on there. I think at least one of each should be in the deck just so you can get that. And once again, these spells are pretty recyclable for what you're doing, especially with multi-roll, so it does help you out a lot. But that's kind of like the main archetype itself and kind of the main cards. Once again, Rhoda is fantastic because both these are warriors and they're pretty much our main deck monsters anyways. So that's that. And let's go to an example deck list. So here's my list that I've been using on a ladder. I would say obviously a couple more ultra rares, but I'd say most of these are just staples for all your decks anyways. We have some Ash Blossoms, we have some Max C, we have some Effect Veiler. And I think those you should be pretty much crafting already. Forbidden Droplets, maybe not as much, but it is a spell, which is kind of nice. And it can send spells to your drop area or to your graveyard for its effect anyway, so that's good. And then Infinite Impermanence as well. This is probably not as needed, especially since we run Widow Anchor as well, so you don't need this one as much. It's just I've been running, but I would say, you know, Ash, Maxi, Effect Failure you definitely want, and some Forbidden Droplets just because they're fantastic spell cards for what we're doing. And something that's really nice about this list too, and this archetype, is that you just really want to play good spells, and spells are probably some of the like consistently strongest cards in the game anyways. And so if you, and I would say also we're kind of in a spot where a lot of you know, traditionally banned or like limited spells are in a really good spot, or you can play a lot of them, so you can kind of get greedy with those and you can get some really good effects for it. So I would say pretty much I have right here just a lot of good spells to help you out. My flex spells that I put in this list that I like, Raigeki is fantastic. Monster Reborn is a good card as well. Pot of Avarice is good because it helps you recycle your links. So if you want to get another Kagari later in the game, you can. And it's a draw too. You just got to be careful. This can be a little bit bricky sometimes, but it's fine. I personally like Foolish Burial Goods. It lets you send one spell or trap from your deck to your graveyard. So it just helps you get your cards online more, especially since, you know, if you need to find a card with Kagari, or if you need to find, you know, get it back with multi-roll, I think that's really, really possible. Spells that I don't actually have crafted right now, but if I did, I'd probably put them in. I would probably put Terraforming and Upstart Goblin into these. You know, just the idea that these spells are just spells that pretty much go into your drop area or graveyard for free just makes them fantastic. You know, Terraforming is a spell, goes in your graveyard, and then you're able to find your airspace, right? Same thing with Upstart. You're able to draw a card, so you replace itself, get a spell into your graveyard, and then your opponent only gains 1,000. Though I would say the 1,000 sometimes can mean your opponent gets one more turn, which means they can maybe get the out. So you got to be careful with Upstart. Also, Upstart's at 3 in OCG and only at 1 in TCG. So I'd probably only make 1 if you start crafting it, but that's just me. Harpy's Feather Duster. I don't know why I haven't built this yet. I'm just waiting and kind of biding my time for my gems, but I think this would perfectly go well in the decks you're running, especially since it can destroy your own spells, which means that you can kind of do some nice things with it. Some additional cards I would say, and I don't know why I didn't put this in here. Twin Twisters is pretty good too. You want to put that in there. I definitely can. Oh, I have 3. Wow, look at me. Twin Twister's good. Pretty much any of the pot cards as well. If you want to get some draw, where we don't really care about Desires hitting 10 cards, but if you do have some spells you really want, you definitely want to run more of those, and you know, in spite of that. Dark Hole is fine. If you want to get crazy, Toon Table of Contents is cool because you can just immediately get 3 spells into your graveyard. So if that you care about that. If you want to get wild, Instant Fusion. We're in OCG, so Grass Looks Greener is live. Really just play as any spells that you think are interesting. You probably can make them work in this, and you can do some nice things. So I think that's kind of nice and kind of flexible for you. Something that I saw and I stole is this idea of the Access Code Talker is just one of the best cards in the game, and I think this is probably one of the few kind of extra deck staples you probably need to build anyways. And just the fact that this can get around a lot of cards, and just the fact that it becomes like a 53k beat stick means that you are 5300 beat stick means that you can just get around a lot of things that normally don't have any, or you know, have protection against anything but battle. So I think that's kind of nice. So the way that this deck can kind of cheat into that pretty consistently is with Selene, and maybe I'm going backwards, but you can use Helki Fibrax with pretty much any of your tuners. We're running a good amount of tuners in this deck, and I would probably add, you know, if 4 is probably like the minimum I would run, I would probably add some more. But a lot of people play Ash Blossom anyways, so Monster Boarding opponent's Ash Blossom and then going into your own Helki works pretty consistently too. It's really funny. And so you link this into you link into this, and then you get one of your spellcaster tuners. So you get an effect Veiler, which means you probably need to put a third one of these. If I was to put a third one of these, I would put effect Veiler. So I think 2 and 2 is fine. I think Ash Blossom is universally better as a card, but effect Veiler does have some nice effects, and I think a 2-2 split is once again the minimum. You're fine with what you're at. But you get your Veiler, and then you go into Selene. And so this 2+ monsters, including a spellcaster monster, link 3. This card's link summon, place spell counters on this card equal to the number of spells on the field and in the graveyards. And then when an Endymon is on their field, your opponent monsters can't target this card for attacks, which is never going to happen. But once returned during the main phase, quick effect, you can remove 3 spell counters from this card. Special summon 1 spellcaster monster from your graveyard or hand in defense position to zone this points to, which means you just special summon the effect Veiler you already used, or even the Drollin Lockbird if that's around. So if you already have like a link 2 with, for example, Zeke, then you can go into this for link 3, and then you can make this and then bring it back out with its own effect, and then go into Access Code Talker with 5300. You already have 2 links in your graveyard for effects that are different attributes. And then the really good thing about this archetype is that all of these Sky Strikers have different attributes. So you can get a lot of pops with these, and you cycle through them very often too, which is really helpful. Some finishing up kind of the deck, Nightmare Unicorn, Cerberus, and Phoenix. I wouldn't go to your way to craft these for this deck. If you have them already, go for it, but I don't think it's needed. Selene, if you don't have the effect failures, don't make this card yet. And if you don't have the Helki Fibrax, I think it's really nice. I think it's a really good finisher for this deck, and that's something it's missing. Sometimes you're just doing like a lot of advantage, but you just never clench it out. So I do like the the ease to access code and kind of the way you get there with this idea. So that's my opinion there. In general, though, I think this has been very good. I always feel like I have some options to what my opponent's doing. I feel like I have some plays, and I never really ever feel like I'm stuck. Like most of the time, or just like I draw a hand, I'm like, I can't win with this. I always feel like there's always a chance. There's always a top deck that can help me out of a situation. I like that idea in a deck like this. But here's once again my list, and let's go to an example game. All right, we're gonna play against the CPU. We're gonna go first. I would say this deck doesn't really care one way or the other. You can build it go more going first or more going second, but it's not make or break one way or the other. And man, we just this is like one of the best going second hands I've ever seen. We're just not playing this one. This is an okay hand. We do have some negates and stuff. So we're just gonna go Rose, and we're going to go into probably Suzuku. There we go. That gets us a spell at the end. And then we will do the multi-roll. We'll set infinite permanence because that card's good. And then we'll also set the shark cannon as well. I don't think we want to pop anything. So we're just going to end our turn. We'll get a free mobilize to hand. Or sorry, engage. I always call it mobilize, even though it's engage. It's like it's where the name cuts off for it. And we'll see what they're able to make. Oh, Lightning Storm is pretty good. Okay. Calm down, Yugioh. All right. Well, let's see if we can do anything fancy from this. So we're down to 2 cards, right? We'll see. I think we're in some. We can do some things still. Let's see what we get. That card is pretty good. I think the plan is we can do the mobilize here. All right. I believe. Yeah, okay. So we're going to get the mobilize. Or sorry, the multi-roll. I believe that's right. We can also just strictly get the maneuver and then pop both cards, but I don't think that's what we want to do. I think having the multi-roll is probably just better for what we're doing. If they have like a MST or something, we're just in trouble. We're going to activate this. We're going to use our multi-roll here, popping that. My computer's thinking about something, but I guess we're okay. We're going to activate this effect to play a Ray from our deck for free. And then we do have 3 spells in there, which is the number we want. So we are going to special summon the Kagari. There. Activate this effect. We're going to get the mobilize. We're going to activate the mobilize again. So it doesn't have a hard once per turn. It doesn't have any once per turns. All right, and so we definitely want the maneuver, so that can pop this and that. And with the multi-roll, they can't activate card effects, which is really nice. So we're just going to activate the maneuver there, destroy that, and destroy another card, so we can destroy that. How many spells we have in there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's more important? So we can right now we can put a 6 spell and then we get a bunch of spells back with the I'm gonna say this is me saying I think it's more important to get the extra spell in there. So we're just gonna go back into hiatus. We lose 500 damage. So if that is the make or break for this game, you guys can remind me in chat. But I think we're just gonna do that. Gonna activate. we're just going to get the card we don't want to see anymore. So we're going to see multi-roll again, since we already have one activated. We're going to go to main phase 2. We're going to set that there, and then we're just going to end our turn. Get multi-roll activated, so we do have 6 spells in there, and I think the most important ones we want are the... I guess I probably should have put Widow Anchor, huh? Widow Anchor would have been better because we could play it back, but we'll just do... I mean, we already have Infinite Impermanence, so we're fine. Multi-roll, or sorry, the Mobilize we want for sure. Yeah, we'll get this one, and then I will just say, yeah, Maneuver is probably best. There we go. If they have like another Harpy's Feather Duster, which they can't, or Lightning Storm, then we're in trouble. I guess they could have another Lightning Storm. Then I'd feel really bad. Oh, they really do. Yeah, sure. We'll banish their Junk Synchron, which means we get it on our side of the field. Because we should have enough there. These Lightning Storms are real. Alright. Well, we should have game though. So the Forbidden Droplets. And that still was so stinky. But anyways, we can just summon this Effect Veiler. We'll go special summon our Helki Fibrax. Go there. Then with our Helki Fibrax, we're able to go into playing another Effect Veiler. And then from there, we can go into our Selene. There we go. Selene's probably going to put like 10 counters on herself. 8 is like 10. 1, 2, and 3. We'll play the Effect Veiler a 3rd time. And then we're able to go into our Access Code Talker. So unfortunately, we can't actually win this turn either. And that was probably on me because I didn't do it right. I could have gone... So we stole that, but it can't swing. Which is just terrible. So yeah, I guess we just have to pop. Yeah, the way we should have done it is we should have gone into something that points down and then... Well, this just says the zone this points to. So this has to be here. All right, I think this is just the best way we could do anything. Anyways. There we go. Yeah, I don't believe this can swing this turn. What else can we build? Nothing. Okay. Yeah, and this is really just the issue with the deck. Sometimes you just can't finish. Like, you're close, and even if we got greedy with that 500, we still would have been done. Or we still wouldn't have been done, but we'll see. We'll see if we just get, what, Lightning Stormed a 3rd time? Okay. I think we're okay now. But yeah, sometimes that extra turn, and that's why, like, I can see, like, sometimes Upstart Goblin, my apologies, can just, like, do more harm than good sometimes, just because it's just, like, another turn that your opponent can potentially recover from. But that's going to be it from me. There's obviously a lot more combos, and this is probably one of my favorite decks for you to kind of just play on solo mode. Realize your interactions. There's a lot of really specific interactions with this deck too, and I think it teaches you just like a lot of the kind of corner cases for this game too. So if you want a kind of control-y deck to kind of learn the game again, I would 100% recommend Sky Strikers. I'm still kind of learning it, and it's definitely not my favorite way to play the game, but I think it's something that's necessary to keep, teaching me kind of how interactions work and be kind of better at things. I always feel like I've rarely have played a game of Sky Striker where I feel like I played it 100% correct, and the challenge to kind of get there, it feels kind of nice too, and being able to challenge myself in that way. But that's going to be it for me. Let me know what you guys think of this video. Once again, if you guys enjoyed it, if you made it this far, you better subscribe because you made it pretty far into this video, and like it as well. And also let me know what other decks you want me to cover in this series. I think Tri Brigade Zodiac is next, and maybe some Adamancipators. Sorry, those are the two that I'm looking forward to. But if there's some other ones I should consider, let me know and I'll consider it. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.
Damn it.